Okay, are you
The spiritual
pro-life or
faith is different.
pro-choice?
I am pro-choice.
Alright, well, we can debate on this. Why are you pro-choice?
Are you pro-life?
Yeah.
Are you pro-life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so why are you pro-choice?
Uh, I feel like if it was on the other hand, say men were the people, say men were the sex who got pregnant and had to carry the child, it'd be a very, very different conversation. And the way how it's treated with women, that it's treated as if like abortion's like a fun, it's like cosmetic surgery. A woman doesn't get a females don't get an abortion because it's convenient. They get an abortion in the same way an animal chews their leg off to survive. It's because they have no other choice. Having a child is a very, hard fucking decision. It wrecks lives. Hell, I'm a product of something like that, and I grew up very hard. My mom didn't believe in it. She is pro-choice, but for herself personally, she goes, "I'm for the choice of other women, but for me personally, hell no, I don't want an abortion." And she had 8 fucking kids. We grew up poor, poor as can fucking be, man. So, do I feel like maybe along the line she maybe should have, you know, for her own health and my siblings' healths, yeah, some of us shouldn't be here because we took away from the quality of life. We made just life harder. So, and a lot of, like I feel like there's a lot of other women who just they aren't prepared to be an actual mother, and force them to have a child is not only subjecting them to a life of pain and misery, but you're also forcing that child to be be paired with a mother who doesn't love them. And I know if you see the foster care system, that shit's horrible. It's buns. Kids, parents, foster care families get paid checks to keep kids, and they'll abuse the shit out of the kids. One of my first friends in high school was one of that, and she ran away. I never saw her till like about 3 years ago because she ran away to Austin. She ran away when she was like 16, and I reconnected with her because we live in Dallas. She ran away to Austin. She came back in my life. She goes, yeah. She goes, oh no, it was horrible. It was fucking horrible. She was telling me all the details about how the foster family didn't care for her, didn't do anything for her. We have a very broken system, and abortion it's healthcare. It's healthcare. I realize I've said a lot, so I'm gonna let you respond.
Okay, so the first issue, having a child is hard. This doesn't justify murdering the child by your logic that this would justify like murdering a 1-year-old or 2-year-old or 3-year-old. Just because having a child is hard doesn't justify murdering the child. So you have to
Okay,
make that
but
justification. And then there's the you being poor or the mother being poor or whatever. This also doesn't justify murder. Again, by this logic, there'd be no issue with murdering a 1, 2, or 3-year-old because you would still be poor even if the baby is outside the womb or inside the womb. Again, you'd still have to like cross the is ought barrier simply because you're poor. Why does that ought to mean that like murdering is
because when
justified?
you're poor, you have
Hold
a
on,
different quality
dog,
of
dog, dog.
life.
I didn't cut you off that entire time. Come on now.
Oh, sorry,
Anyways,
no, I didn't.
I'm
I
not.
didn't hear anything. I didn't
So
hear it
yes.
reply.
So
Sorry.
in regards to like you're not prepared or forcing motherhood or whatever. Again, like or not again, but like pro-lifers, we don't hold that we're like forcing motherhood. All we're doing is like preventing mother. This isn't really like a response to like pro-lifers. This is just an argument for perspective. Whereas the pro-choicers see it as forcing motherhood, we see it as preventing murder. Either way, it's still not a justification for murder or whatever, right? I think both perspectives are just as valid, but it still doesn't like lead you to a pro-choice conclusion. You can very easily lead you to a pro-life conclusion if you just look at it as preventing murder. So then, in response to the foster care system, I agree the foster care system is horrible. That's why we should put in the blood, sweat, and tears efforts, like we did during the civil rights when we gave black people rights, like we did doing women's suffrage, like we did doing away with child marriage, like we did doing away with Roe
I
v.
agree on that.
Wade.
Yeah.
We should put in the blood, sweat, and tears efforts to fix the foster care system as we have a history of doing, fixing broken systems. I think this is a better solution than the solution of abortion, which is mass genocide. Is your friend having like a terrible experience just anecdotal evidence? I could just say I had a friend with an awesome experience in the foster care system. So then in regards to abortion as healthcare, I mean, if you want to call it healthcare, I mean, it's whatever, but, like, I'm just gonna disagree. I don't think that, like, healthcare should, like, result in, like, a murder of an innocent person. That's not, like, healthcare to me, that's just blatant murder. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yep.
Okay. Well, the mass genocide thing. I mean, I could from one hand perspective, I could see because it's easy. It's very easy to see it as, oh, well, that could have been life, and you're stopping that life, so obviously it's murder. I could see the argument at the same time. You know, there's a whole lot of, well, actually, no, I'm not even gonna give no side of that. Say it is murder. Say it completely is. It's, I think we should value because we're prioritizing the life of someone who's not even born, someone who they don't have a name, don't even know their sex or gender. We don't even know anything about this person, just so that they might be alive. We don't know what conditions they may have when they grow up. We don't know what their life might entail. But what we do know is that there are women out there who already have lives. They already have names. They already have friends, family connection. Some of them might have dreams. Some of them have aspirations. They know what they want to do with their life. And unfortunately, this having a child sidetracks that. And yeah, maybe there's other resources, like, oh, them not being the mother. But at the same time, I'm a male, you're a male. Having a kid for either of us, and I'm homosexual. Having a kid for either of us, our bodies are not physically foreverly altered and changed. Having a kid, like men, a man can go out there, have sex with a whole bunch of people, and have all these kids that he don't even know about, and he won't feel shit about it. You ask so many mothers, they'll like having a child is like having your heart outside of your chest. That no matter what, there's like some people like to say there's some soul connection that they have to their children, no matter what. You see even these stories, these like like I don't want to say romanticized, but it's like, oh, like trying to pull at the heartstrings of how, oh, they get reconnected and the mother always knew, or a kid dies and the mom at home, she just knew something was wrong with the child, something like that. It's a heavy burden being a mother. Just even giving birth, that's the most heaviest burden. It can kill people. It used to kill thousands and millions of people because we didn't have advanced healthcare like we do now. And yes, I guess that could be an argument for pro-life, saying, well, now we do. Now we have it's more better mortality rates. But at the same time, I feel like pro-choice is not saying it's not pro-abortion. It's pro-choice. That's why it's called that. That women have the choice to do so. Like you're speaking to me, like right now, I'm probably regret saying this, but I was a pro-life baby, I guess. My mom was going to have me aborted. I was about think 2 months in, and my dad thought I wasn't his, so he was like, "Hey, you get the abortion." My mom paid for everything. She didn't have health care, so she paid for it out of pocket back in 2000 and back in 2002. She paid for it out of pocket. She said it was about 3,500. She heard that machine turn on, and they said get on the table. She said something about just looking at the lights. She said God told her, "Hey, no, you're meant to have him. You're meant to have him." She said that she got off that table, and at last, here I am on board. I guess you can sit here and say it's kind of ironic that a person like me be vouching for pro-choice, but that's the thing. It was the choice too. That if she felt the need that she didn't want to, she should have had that. I feel like every woman should have that. That they have it. That no one else can make the decision for them. Like I feel like if it was like how can I say this? If it was on the other foot, like say somehow all our bodies were monitored, and anytime a man had sex, that if it didn't result in a child being born, he had some penalty. Or if he did, now he has no choice either. Oh, it's like, no, now you have to be a father too. And you don't want to take care of that child? Well, now you're going to jail because you're being a neglectful parent. You're like, oh wait, but I didn't even know. I didn't even want a kid. I'm just 16. I was just having fun at the prom. But the government's like, no, that's life. You helped make life. So now you don't want to take care of your child? Well, you should have thought of that before you got your dick wet. Like, like it's it's also a lot for the males too. That because it's more pressure on the females because unfortunately they have to carry the child, but men they don't have to. But if it was on the other foot, I feel like it wouldn't be as pro-life. Finish now.
Okay. I mean, so in regards to the first thing, right? You're saying that it could have been life. You said it's not born, might be alive, no name, no dreams, no aspirations. None of this applies to whether or not somebody is alive or not. If we look at the like scientific consensus, right? We have like we have sources specifically from. Hold on, my bad. I'm pulling it up. So yeah, we have sources from the National Institution of Health, National Library of Medicine, American College of Pediatrics, Loisier Institute, Harvard, Yale, Oxford, like 32 different sources I have here that all report that human life begins at fertilization, right? So we do know that it is alive, so it would be murder, regardless if it doesn't have a name or dreams or aspirations or anything, right? So then the next thing you said is like we are males, our bodies do not get changed like women's do. This literally doesn't matter. This still doesn't justify murdering the baby. In regards to having a child as a heavy burden, this again this is the first thing you said, and that's in the first like phase. You said that having a child is hard, which is again you're making the same argument, which I already responded to. Having a child is a heavy burden. Again, literally, this doesn't justify murder. Again, by your logic, it would be justified to kill a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, because taking care of the child is a burden. Right? Again, you still have to cross the threshold of how this justifies murdering a baby. Pregnancy could kill people, like very, very, very rarely, and even if they like did, pro-lifers are for air quotes abortion in this case or whatever, because we don't see it as an abortion, we see it as saving the mother's life, and as the unfortunate consequence of doing so, the baby unfortunately passes away due to us lacking the technology to save both the mother and the baby. But we go in with the intention of saving both. This isn't an abortion because we're not going in with the intention of murdering the baby. We're going in with the intention of saving both of their lives. If you just want to call this an abortion, we can. That's fine. All I'd have to do is just say, okay, I'm fine with abortion in this case, and in literally no other case am I fine with it. We just don't hold that this is an abortion. And you say
Okay.
pro-choice is not pro-abortion. I mean, should just have the right to choose. Like this is just like an art claim with no like argument attached to it. You still have to like articulate why you think this, right? And like again, when you say that like they should, I'm saying that they shouldn't, right? Also, when you say like pro-choice is not like pro-abortion or whatever, like sure, I guess. Again, I'm pro-life. I don't think that women should have the choice, right? So you still have to make like the positive argument for it. And so in regards to, I feel like everyone should have the right to choose. Again, this, I just feel the opposite, right? Well, because it's murder, and murder is bad. So like, yeah. Anything else?
Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure. Uh, but do you feel like it's the government's right to tell every woman in the country, no, not every woman, anybody with a uterus, that could be intersex people too, people you never know, because unfortunately it's fucking weird, even children, that every single one of them, so help them God, if they get pregnant, that's it. They have to carry that baby. A little 8-year-old girl who gets raped by an uncle because she unfortunately is just in a bad environment, she has to carry that baby. Do you agree with that? Like, do you
No.
feel like that should be?
Obviously, well, the problem with the 8-year-old example is that the 8-year-old wouldn't be able to deliver the baby like without facing any sort of lethal repercussions. So she would have access to like an abortion, air quotes, in that circumstance because we don't see it as an abortion. If she has this baby, she's probably gonna like probably gonna die or like at least face like heavily lethal repercussions. Again, in this
Yeah.
case, we would be for abortions because we don't consider this an abortion.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm glad to hear you say that you don't want to subject children, say, or exactly young
But
children,
that
at
doesn't
least that.
happen anyways. Like
No, it does. Unfortunately, it does.
you
It's
can
rare,
find
but it does
edge,
happen.
yeah, you can find edge cases, but that makes up less than 1% of abortion cases.
But
There
when you know,
aren't these
but that's
like
the. I'll say this. I'll say this. I want to ask you this personally. Where would you say you grew up from poverty, middle class, stability, disability, disenfranchised? What would you say your upbringing was like?
what's the
Your
relevance? Why
environment
does
was
it
like?
matter?
Huh?
Why does it matter?
It matters what I'm about to say. But for the sake of my argument, I'm just going to assume that you grew up stable with a good environment, a mom and dad. And I'm not going to say they didn't fight, but stable enough where your bills were paid. You had food on the table.
Yeah,
You
even if
didn't
this
have
is
to worry
true,
about
what is
rent.
all of this relevant to? Why does any of this
That's
matter?
what I'm about to say. I'm about to say this. But just assuming all that, I grew up opposite of that.
So,
Disenfranchised, disability, a lot of basically poverty, bunch of whole poor folks. What you said about the argument about, oh, well, that's a rare edge case. No, it's not.
dude,
It's not.
it is less
It's
than 1%
at
of abortions are like children. There's aren't these like
my
there aren't hold on. There's aren't these legion of 8-year-olds, pregnant 8-year-olds, dog. Like
yeah, there's
that
not
doesn't
legion.
happen.
There's not legion, but they still even if it's even if it's 20 of them, they
It's
still
less
matter.
than
And I
one
think you agree with
percent.
that.
Like
And that's it.
you're
Less than one.
talking about less than 1% of the population. Like this doesn't happen at all. Obviously, if you Google it, you can find these like weird edge cases where something may have happened to
That's
like
the
a
thing.
9 or 12-year-old. Yeah.
I'm saying I come from one of those edge cases. My mom had 8 kids. She had
At
her
what
first
age?
daughter at 12 years old. She got pregnant at 11 years old.
Okay,
She was
okay,
raped.
sure. That happens less than 1% of the
That's what I'm
time.
saying. Yeah, it happens less than one. I'm not gonna say it's fucking
Abortion?
common. Yeah,
Okay,
we're
so what is
pro-life
it? So
versus
how
pro-choice.
if I already told you that I'd be for an abortion in this case solely because like typically a girl at that age wouldn't be able to safely get deliver the baby. Why are
Yeah.
you still talking about this? This literally doesn't
My
matter.
point is that other people like you, because you agree with that other people who are pro-life, it's more black and white than they don't care.
That's
That's why
not
my mom
true.
didn't have access.
Majority of
Oh,
pro-lifers like disagree. Like again, majority of pro-lifers would say that if a woman is going to die, she should obviously get like have the abortion because we just
well,
don't
you know
see it
what?
as an abortion.
You're the most sane pro-lifer I've ever spoken to because you're the only one
Okay.
who's ever said that, man. I like to debate. I like to go on little fucking things to talk to people. A lot of them don't. They like, no, it's still abortion. If they can carry it to full term and live, they should, or they
Well,
should give it a
yeah.
chance because it's now the baby's life.
Well,
My mom didn't have access to those type of resources, and so she had to carry that baby. And at that time, her parents were completely pro-life. Catholics, hard, devout Catholics said, no, you're gonna carry that baby, and not only you're gonna carry that baby. Well, actually, I'm not gonna say that because that's not part of the argument. But that's why I was just pointing that because I come from a fucking example like that. Uh, but in other
okay.
cases, we've established that you agree that children should not become mothers. They should not have to be forced to. At what age do you think that age stops? Like at 16 years old, do you think? Uh,
If a girl, regardless of the age, if she's able to deliver the baby, even if she is 12 or whatever, as long as the person is able to deliver the baby without dying, then they shouldn't be able to have an abortion
okay.
because that would be murder.
Even if that girl has a whole big life ahead of her, and that baby because once you have a child, a lot of these women they're not giving it up to foster care. Unfortunately, they have to just sit there and deal with the baby. They have to sit there and become
Yeah,
a mother
yeah.
now.
Again, you
Pause their
have to
life.
justify. How does that justify murder?
Well, how is it justify taking that woman's life away? Because
Nobody's.
she's
Your
no
mom
longer.
is still alive. Nobody's taking her life away.
Well, for example, I'll give it this. You don't know my name, you don't. So, and I don't know, you don't know the specifics of my name, so I don't have to worry about. I'll give you the details on it. My mom wanted to become a dancer and a ballerina.
Yeah, her
She
life
was in ballet.
changed. That doesn't justify murdering babies.
She had a child. She instantly had to become a mother. Instantly had to drop out of school, drop out of all of her classes. Was a high school
Yeah,
dropout.
her life
Her life
changed. How does that
completely
justify
derailed.
murdering the baby? How does that justify murder? Murdering an
How's
innocent
how
person?
is a how does a one slip up, no, actually no, in her case, how does being violently assaulted by someone you trusted dictate the fact that now you have to carry that for the rest of your life?
Because
Now that's what your life's gonna be.
because the
Because a
other
man.
yes, a man did that because the other thing would be murder, which is wrong. Why again, how does that justify murdering an innocent person?
But that's the thing, if we give it the context of murder, then technically everyone's murderers. Everybody in the, because that's the thing, because it's a clump of cells. Yes, it will be human. Yes, it will be human.
Again,
But you know what?
I
That
already
fly you
established
swat, that
this. I already
that's the
tackled
thing,
this. I already debunked this. I already said that according to the National Institution of Health, Medicine, and all these other sources, it is not just a clump of cells. It's factually a human life. It's already
yeah, it
alive.
will be a human life. It
No,
will
it's
be a
not.
human
It's not.
life.
Will be. Again, the National Institution of
It's a
Health.
fetus.
Yeah, a
They the
fetus
not
is a human life. It's alive.
will be a human life. It's not
No,
yet a human life.
again,
It cannot exist outside the womb on its own.
yeah, that
It's
doesn't. Neither.
technically a parasite.
Okay, no. National again, the National Institution of Health says the fetus is alive. The National Institution of Medicine says the fetus is a human life.
BS.
The American College of Pediatrics says life begins at fertilization. 5,000 pro-choice scientists says that it's alive. Loisier Institute, Science.org, Oxford, Yale, Harvard, it's factually a human life even at fetus stage. And the reason why it's not considered a medical parasite is because A, it's the same species, B, it's extracting nutrients not at the expense of the mother, and C, it's a natural process. It's not a protozoa or an etazoa or the other one I can't remember, right? But the CDC classifies like we have names for these parasites or whatever. They actually classify it, and the baby doesn't meet any of the criteria for a parasite. So that's why no doctor calls a baby a parasite. If they do, it's jokingly, but never is it medically diagnosed as a parasite because it's a
Yeah.
baby. And so again, when you say it's gonna be a human life, that's literally biologically, scientifically inaccurate. It's already a human life. Again,
Will
I
be.
have a bunch
Okay,
of
it is a
sources
human
on
life.
this.
I'm not gonna doubt your sources. I'm not gonna doubt them. I'm not gonna sit here and argue semantics
Uh-huh.
on that. Same time, my whole point is that it's
In my world, there are no
if it is
secrets.
murder, we murder. We come from a primitive society. Thousands of years ago, we clubbed someone else if they said something rude. Now, of
Yeah,
course,
it's
we've
not good.
advanced. Of course, we've advanced. Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and defend that. But we're humans. We walk in our flesh. We do simple things. My whole argument is the choice. No one should have the choice to tell another person what they should do with their body.
Yeah,
No
you
one,
do.
no
You do
government,
that
no
all the
entity.
time. You tell people that you shouldn't
How?
use your body to murder somebody else's body.
Yeah, because I'm an
Okay.
alive physical person right here. I pay. That also this argument.
Again, wait, hold
One
on. You
argument the
went back
government
to the
supports.
exact same thing. Again, the fetus is a live physical person. You keep going back
It
to. I
don't pay
already debunked
taxes.
this.
It don't pay taxes. So to the government, they don't care. They don't
Illegal
pay taxes.
illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. They're still alive.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They pay sale taxes whenever they buy purchase things.
Yeah, when you said
Anything.
taxes, I thought you meant annual taxes. But the point is that
Oh,
simply because somebody doesn't pay taxes doesn't mean that they're somehow not alive.
I'll say that was my that was a funny little argument. I'll say with that. That's because the
Okay.
government don't really give a fuck about that unless you pay fucking shit. You pay your fucking way.
Okay, well,
But
regardless, it's still alive, even if it doesn't pay taxes. It's a really weird metric to use to judge whether or not somebody's alive or not. But anything else?
the metric I use to judge if someone's alive is can they speak to me? Can they say anything to me? Can they communicate with me by
So if
themselves?
people are mute,
And
they're not alive?
they can communicate. They can communicate, just not through verbal. They can write down. They can. It doesn't even have to be communicate well, as long as they can something, a semblance, anything,
Yeah,
like how
yeah,
because there's
fetuses
people with
communicate with the woman's body.
because they have because they have but can they communicate with anybody else? No. The metrics I use for a person, a human person, is are they alive? Are they breathing? Which I know a fetus is because of the mother because they're connected. But are they alive? Are they breathing? Can they communicate? Do they have sentience? Can they reflect upon their own consciousness? There's all those things. Now, I guess some of those are semantics because we truly don't know. We can't. You and me aren't fucking scientists. Now we
Well,
need
if
to
you
have
don't
sources.
know, if you don't have like a consistent base, if you're just gonna say you don't know, then I don't see how this like why we should even care about this. This is just gonna be disregarded. If we go with the science, what we do
The
know
science
is
also says that person's alive. We're arguing about somebody. Oh, one thing I want to break down real quick here is that there's all this science, all this. Oh, well, the institute says they're alive. This person says they're alive. Well, but we know for a motherfucking fact that mama's alive. That's like let's get she's
we
talking,
also
she's
know for a
walking,
fact that
she's
fetus is
talking.
alive.
Well, but that's no, but if it has to have all these people vouch for it when that person can't stand to talk for themselves and say right then and there, I know it sounds stupid. At the same time, we know for a fact
Not being
someone
able
is
to
alive and
talk
someone else isn't,
not being able to
or
talk doesn't
communicate.
yeah, not being able to
Uh,
talk or communicate doesn't mean you're not alive. Again, I don't know why you're denying the science on this. No matter
Because
how you slice it.
it's
The,
pseudoscience. It's some of it.
the
There is some
National
science to it,
Institution of
but you
Health, the National Library
womp
of
womp
Medicine, American
BS
College of
BS.
Pediatrics, Alaska State Legislation, 5,000 pro-choice scientists, Oxford, Yale,
You have to mention the
Harvard,
fact that they're
Loisier,
pro-choice.
um,
That's the thing too. I'm not.
science.org. This isn't
And
pseudo.
that's
So
the
the
thing.
CDC.
Who
This
gives
isn't
a fuck about
pseudoscience.
the?
These are like
I
actual
don't.
reputable institutions that study this stuff. Like this
That
is
was hilarious, soldier.
what's the topic?
abortion.
Pro-choice.
But like this
Oh,
isn't. But
abortion.
this isn't pseudoscience. These are like whole institutions. Even 16 of the best scientific institutions in Europe, 16 of them, all conclude that human life begins at fertilization. The very first thing that you Google when you type in when does human life begin biologically, scientifically, fertilization
Well, that's
slash
the thing.
conception.
We're talking about government and governing about how it should be treated. I think that it should be left up to the woman, mothers themselves.
Yeah,
I
you have
don't
to
care
make an
about none of
argument
that.
for that though.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, if you, I feel like you and me, to be honest, there is no conversation between us about this because we don't have uteruses. This should be left to only people with
Yeah,
uteruses
I
who
already
actually
him
do
a
that.
receipt.
I already addressed this argument too. I already debunked this. Right? Again, we don't have to be like
Debunked my
women.
ass.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
have
it's
to
like a
be
fallacy of
women
that.
to we don't have to be women to be against murder, right? Abortion is still going to be wrong regardless if we're men or women because it's murder and murder is wrong. That's like really easy. We don't have to be women to say that murder is wrong, which is what abortion is.
Murder is wrong, but abortion and murder are two different separate fucking things.
Well,
They're
no,
two
because
different separate
abortion
things.
results
There's not
in
no
the.
crime scene. They don't call the cops to come quit the thing.
Well, I'm saying that's fine. I'm saying they should, and they're probably going to,
Womp
because
womp
remember
tomato
Roe
tomato.
v. Oh, he left. Yeah, well, that's usually what happens.